There's like a big field. It gives, of course, our clients the opportunity to express themselves and do a lot of the work by themselves. So a lot of projects, that's not going to happen anymore.
This idea of being able to program something to take place. And obviously, we're all hugely reliant on technology and on tools, to develop. How is that impacting the way you're working now? I'm thinking particularly with AI tools, with augmented realities, virtual realities. How does that look in the studio?
We are introducing it and working with it massively.
Yeah.
And interesting enough, not surprising enough, let's put it that way, from our Shanghai studio, driven by our Shanghai studio.
Yeah.
We're in the super baby shoes of all that, what's going to happen, and I think it's going to transform our industry massively, massively. And so I think it's really important that we'll all learn how to, or be part of that journey. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
In a much more volatile market as we have it in Asia, where constant change is like, not even to discuss anymore. It's like, people have dreams and they might change it like every week, and you sometimes have to redesign a project 25 times before it can get somewhere. You have to find means to respond to that. And so artificial intelligence on one hand can be a tool to kind of help that, not to generate what you design, but to
iterate perhaps,
get in a conversation with the clients, and narrow it down and so on. There's of course a lot of tools which make your life a hell of a lot easier, right? Yeah. So there's like a big field. It gives, of course, our clients the opportunity to express themselves and do a lot of the work by themselves. So a lot of projects, that's not going to happen anymore.
So you predict that you will encounter more examples where people say, this is how we envisage this.
Yeah, of course, everybody can do it,
Of course.
You just like, if you have a little bit joy to experiment with it, people, and that's happening already, like in the real estate industry, a lot of sample apartments not going to get built anymore. They're not going to get designed by agencies like us anymore, because, it's good enough to do like a funky Midjourney kind of visualization of what it could be, and that's it, and everybody loves it because it's so dreamy, No, in a serious point, I think we'll see a shift in what kind of projects we're doing, because a lot of projects will be accessible from non-designers with these tools, not to an extent to actually get it built, but in a creative moment, which once more questions, who we are as a designer, as a profile, and what kind of distinguishes us from anybody else, right? And then, of course, I think the whole creation moment will be transformed, because these tools, not into much that they design for you, but I think they make potentially decision-making processes much quicker. You can explore many more different routes, be daring, or let the machine be more daring, and let that inspire you or your client. So. That
sounds fascinating, because if you're able to let go with these tools, this was like, you have to, because
you have literally you have like a level where you can kind of control the craziness of the result, right?
A slider, sort of,
So that's kind of interesting, and of course it takes away a lot of work, which is repeating work. Like, let's say we were doing luxury residential projects and designing like 650 apartments in a tower. It's just twisted, so like most of the apartments are like different, and you have to, in a very intense process between architectural vision, MEP needs, structural needs, and making spaces which are sellable and livable. That's not going to happen anymore. You'll put that into an algorithm, and this is going to happen. And you control it, and it's going to be done. Workplace projects, will be massively supported by AI in the way how you organize and lay it out. You'd still need to control it, but what it means is, I think there's a group of people who can use those tools, and they're on top of things, and the rest is gone. This is radical, but I think this is what's going to happen. And of course, they're going to find other ways, as like any new technology is going to create new fields of things. But I think it's going to change dramatically how we design, what our understanding of design process is, our tools, the way studios work, and we're only seeing like the very, very bottom of it. And if you look in all the developments ahead, it's crazy. I mean, even today we can create out of a still image a video sequence. And this is like 1 year after the first seeing of OpenAI, right? So what are you going to see in 5 years? So interesting enough, everything we thought will be future-proof. Like 2 years ago, you would have said to your kid, learn coding, because only the one who codes will survive. Coding was the first one to begin. So this is interesting.
It's thought-provoking, isn't it? Yeah. Could you see yourselves designing virtual worlds?
Yeah, we do that. Yes, interesting. as a different kind of situation. Although I have to say, me personally, I love physical space.
Yeah.
I just love stuff.
Yeah.
Too much.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
But hey, that's why it's a larger studio and you have so many voices and so many interests and so many kind of energies, and that's beautiful to see. So it's not about me, right? And I like it as an intellectual kind of challenge, because I think it's pretty silly that everything we see in the virtual world, and I might not have the total overview, kind of is like a funky rip off the reality. So the whole promise of freedom of gravity and all these kind of things, which define our physical building doesn't exist because it's pretty much the same thing, right?
It's sampling, isn't
it?
Yeah.
And so there's a curiosity of what that could mean, and I think everybody's working on it. So,
And the thing that strikes me is, again, coming back to senses, you can never, well, not yet, experience the same sensorial stimulation within a virtual environment in terms of, the particularly with, think about it, acoustic. I mean, there are sort of, tools to simulate acoustic environments, for example. But I think it's interesting to think how that will progress in terms of immersive.
I think it's super fascinating. I definitely want to be part of it.
Yeah.
It's not about saying, oh, this is so much better than the other one. I think both experiences are valid, and life always goes like in a curve, right? So the more we accelerate it and the more we kind of digital, the more we kind of looking for the real thing and touch it again. So that's why we're doing all these resources in the countryside now, because it's about, again, we want to, and after COVID, we want to get back to in real contact. So it's all about encounters. It's all about building communities as a counterpoint to the alienation and the acceleration and the digitalization of our urban life, right?
Yeah.
And
we're craving this.
Yes. And it's going to turn around again, so it's never about creating oppositions or something. It's about understanding our needs in a changing world. And probably offering various answers rather than the one with has the truth, because I don't think that there is
that.